Right. I believe that we're feeding through to the people. So you guys let us know if we're feeding through audio, all that kind of stuff's coming. In the meanwhile, of course, I'm going to remind everyone to go to hankstrange.com, sign up for our email list. That's the best way that you can support us, find out about all the places, the platforms, and things like that we're on. We're giving away stuff through the email list as well. Also, we've got links there to to Ballistic Ink and all the other places where you can get merch and all of that. If you want to get your hands on some Hank Strange patches, you got to go to hankstrange.com. That's how it works. Something like that. If I can actually get the
them going the right way.
If I can get them up. This thing is so reverse. It's like, all right, but so yeah. Go head on over to hankstrange.com. Check that out. Lola's got deals that she's throwing up on Lola's Deals, and you can go through the menu and find her daily deals and all that kind of stuff. Let's see here. I also want to thank Walther Arms for sponsoring the podcast here. We would not be able to do this without them, so shout out to those guys. We wouldn't be able to do it without you all either, so please smash those thumbs ups. Leave your comments and all that kind of stuff. It's going to be a hot show. We're getting into it. Let me drop the open real quick. Hit the open.
Welcome back to the Hank Strange Situation.
That's right.
Lifestyle
Make sure you subscribe, thumbs up, ring the bell so you can be notified every time we go live. So we are live right now. Can we see the jazz hands? Come on, everybody. Hit us with the jazz hands. That's right. We are live. I hope you got your big girl panties on. Definitely tonight you're going to need those big girl panties. This is episode 566 of the Who Moved My Freedom podcast. The title of the show tonight, you guys, it might be a little cryptic, but I think you should be able to figure it out, at least by the end of the show. The title is Florida Man Makes $137,000 a year to hide behind a car. That's right. I'm not kidding you. This is real, and we will break it down for you. Our very special guest tonight is Rolando, the Puerto Rican Pistolero. New to the show. Rolando, what's up, man?
How's it going? Thanks for having me on, Hank.
Yeah, man, thanks for coming on. This is, this is interesting. The first time, we had your wife on yesterday.
Yes.
And now we got you on. I mean, that's come on now.
Hey, I appreciate it.
Yeah, so.
Hopefully it'll be a good follow-up.
Yeah, hopefully. So what's she up to? Is she, in the background doing some stuff, taking care of pets?
She's actually, she's working today, so she's working a little bit late, so you'll probably see her sneak in a few minutes.
Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. That's all right. This is your time to shine, my brother.
Thank you, sir.
Boricua's in the house.
That's how we do it.
Boricuas. If you're out there and you're Boricua, let us know, and we'll shout you out. And if you just want a shout out, you can just let us know. We'll shout you out. Also joining us, keeping it young and fresh up in here, Dill Spack.
Oh, I thought you were going to say me.
No, not you, Richard. No.
Hey, thank you again for having me on.
Thanks for coming on, man. I see you got you got a COVID-19 haircut up in here, man. What the?
That's right, man. My mom actually normally cuts my hair anyway, so I'm one of the lucky ones, I guess.
Oh, yes. Count yourself lucky. Thanks for having you on the show, man. It's great to have you here. And then, of course, to keep it old and old school.
Old and crotchety.
Old and crotchety. Yeah, that's right. Definitely old and crotchety. If Walter's not here and we need some crotcheticity, we gotta get.
I'm your man.
Richard Hoffman of BWE is in the house. What's up, Rich?
Not much. Got my hair cut.
Yeah, I saw that, man. I saw you were waiting out in the car like a good Floridian.
Yeah, hell yeah. We ran down there 10 minutes before they opened and got right in. I was surprised.
Yeah.
By the time they took us, I think we waited 15 minutes. By the time they took us, they had a 2-hour wait.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Because I guess, I think barbershops all went back into effect this week, right? Monday.
Yeah, on Monday.
On Monday, yeah, officially, yeah. Because my barber, Mo, I was just talking to him before the show, and he was like, "Yeah, it's business is starting to come back." I mean, I'm pretty sure they put some guys out of business, but they probably brought a lot of people really close to going out of business there. So, thanks to all you guys for being on here. Shout out to everyone who's out there. Please, guys, smash the thumbs ups. It's real easy. It's real simple. We appreciate it. We appreciate the support of all you guys watching us. But smash those thumbs ups. As I said here, let's see. I don't know if there was a super chat or something that I needed to get to here. Here we go. All right, Armament and Axes gave us $2. He said, "Buy some moose. I want to see it." Laugh out loud. Now, if you guys weren't in the pre-chat, that might sound a little suspicious right there, what he's saying. But basically, he wants me to put moose in my hair and spike it up like old school mohawk. So.
I thought he wanted you to put a moose in your hair.
No, definitely not. I mean, who knows? It could be one of those "it puts the lotion on its skin" type situation. I know you guys were thinking that.
Little moose lotion.
I know you guys are thinking that out there. So, Jake Delahome has a funny comment. He says, "Walter is busy downloading K-pop videos."
He's got that itch after last night.
Yeah. So last night we had Latina Locked and Loaded on, and obviously, she's Rolando's wife, and she's into K-pop. We feel bad for you, man. Our sympathies go out to you.
Oh man. It's like she says, it's pretty catchy, and some of it is pretty crazy. Yeah. Like their music video, it's like a lot of things that the Asians do. They kind of take the Western stuff and then they take it to 11. Yeah, so they take whatever Americans love and they take it to the maximum level. Yeah. So it's usually pretty funny.
Yeah, I mean K-pop is big. What was this? She said BTS, right?
Yeah, BTS is her favorite group.
Yeah, BTS is her favorite. Mm-hmm. So shout out to BTS. If anyone knows those dudes out there, but you're.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Dylan doesn't know either. Dylan, you don't know anything about K-pop, right? Even if you do, just say no.
It's okay.
No, Dylan is older than all of us spiritually. So
that's true. That's why I have trouble talking to girls my age a lot of times.
Yeah, he doesn't know anything that the kids are into now, man. No. He's just a straight up patriot he's a reincarnation.
Hey, that's good. Captain America.
I'm telling you. So listen, we have a whole bunch of things that we're going to talk about. The big thing I wanted to get into here tonight while we're getting this going, like I said, just everyone smash the thumbs ups and let us know. Now, I don't know if you were all aware of this. I'm going to pull this up on the screen. This is a Truth About Guns article. There's lots of news that's coming out right now. But this particular one we're reading is on Truth About Guns. Broward sergeant who stayed in his car during Parkland shooting gets his job back. That's the headline here. And I'm going to read about this. So the shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School exposed breathtaking levels of incompetence throughout the Broward County Sheriff's Department. It started at the top with the preening, clownish Sheriff Scott Israel, and from there to Captain Jan Morgan, who ordered responding deputies to form a perimeter around the school rather than enter and challenge the shooter, which had been standard law enforcement protocol since Columbine. And who could forget the performance of Scott Peterson, the school resource officer who was on campus at the time of the shooting? He stayed outside the building listening to the sounds of screams and gunfire as 17 people were murdered. With Israel, Morgan, and Peterson, while Israel, Morgan, and Peterson were the most prominent Broward bunglers, they were not alone. When current Broward Sheriff Gregory Toney was appointed after Israel was finally dumped, he fired 3 officers for their actions or lack thereof the day of the shooting. One of those he fired was Sergeant Brian Miller. Now, as AP reports, Miller has somehow had his job restored. A Florida sheriff sergeant fired because he sat in a parked car during a 2018 mass shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School will get his job back along with back pay, according to a statement from the union that represents the deputies. The arbitrator dismissed the case against Brian Miller after finding that his due process rights were violated when Broward Sheriff Gregory Toney terminated him. The South Florida Sun-Sentinel reported Miller earned around $137,000 a year in 2018. Okay. There's other stories here that I could go to, but I just want to give you guys all a chance to respond to that. Whoever wants to jump in there, feel free to jump in. Basically, this guy was like, I think he got there to the scene, put on his vest, and either hid behind his car or got back in the car or something like that.
Somebody should have backed the damn car over him.
Yeah. It's
what a piece of crap.
Yeah, it makes me first of all, I have to say something like, I think definitely there's police officers out there, there's teachers. We have this conversation all the time about pay, right, for people. And I think that I would say that there's teachers that should get paid that kind of money for sure. There's police officers and all that should make that kind of money. But it's shameful that this guy was getting paid that much money to sit outside a school while there were kids in that school that needed him. And as a result of his inactions, not only did they lose their lives and their families were destroyed by that, the entirety of Florida, and for that matter, the whole country is suffering because of that thing, right? And including in Florida, we lost our gun rights over what these guys did, and it pisses me off.
Yep, that's your tax money well spent.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and it's all because I'm down in Broward County. Just disclaimer for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So we're about 35 minutes south of Parkland, and if you listen to last night's podcast, my wife Latina Locked and Loaded, she was my fiance at the time. She was out there, with her younger niece and her sister. They're out there for like a doctor's appointment. So she was waiting at one of the public parks, and it was about a mile away. So, she heard the commotion and everything like that. And that's kind of what sparked us, on our freedom and activism route. But the real travesty is that it just showed a failure of government at every level. And the people, as usual, are the ones that pay the price. The first people that paid the price were obviously the children and the teachers that were killed there. And then the second people that paid the price were their families. And then the third people that paid the price were ultimately us as the voters and taxpayers in Florida, because they had something like 36 times that this guy was
reported.
Yeah. And it wasn't just the local police, it was the FBI.
Yep.
It was, so you had the feds, you had the local, you had the state, all fail. None of them communicated with one another. And ultimately now, what did we get? We got red flag laws, and we've got the age now 21 to purchase a firearm in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we got. And thanks to Republicans, too, which everyone loves to forget about that sometimes and say, well, the Republicans are always going to be there to save our gun rights. No, they're just they're politicians. They're like everybody else.
Yeah.
And they failed.
The Republicans are, I think they're in line before the damn Democrats take the guns. Those pieces of shit.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely here in Florida, the politicians that we have failed us. But in this case, there were police officers on the ground at this incident. Yep. If they were getting paid this well, I saw someone say that, their police department, I think it's the Jew, says the cops are, Tulsa cops are badass and get paid like $35K. That's what my local guys get paid. I don't believe, I wish they could get paid more than that, right? Because there's lots of police officers around the country, and they were police officers that were not in this precinct or in this area, and they were trying to get there to save these kids, and they got fired. And then you had cops who were right there, okay, right there. He had a bulletproof vest. This is what you get paid the $137K for. Right? You don't stay outside and wait to find out what's going on when you're looking at a school and there's kids in there. This is like amazing. This is amazing that this kind of stuff is happening in Florida. And obviously, you said this is the part of Florida that you're in. It's shameful that all this money is being spent for nothing.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely true.
I mean, I don't even know how this guy can actually like show back up, and put back on that badge and pretend like he's protecting those people. Sorry, go ahead. I don't want to like not let you guys talk. Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, something that I'll say real quick is the only way to get any form of accountability in this, it's all in the governor DeSantis's hands, because he suspended the sheriff when there was enough pressure on him. We got to put enough pressure on him to suspend this guy.
Yeah,
it's just my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. I would rather pay more money and get rid of this guy. I would just say, listen, pay this guy whatever the hell it takes and get him the hell away from us. I wouldn't want this guy infecting the rest of the police department. I don't want to make it seem like I think that cops are cowards, man. Most of the guys who step up and take these jobs, these are good people. These are people who put their own lives and their families' lives at risk in order to do this thing. But there's no way in hell you should let this guy go back into the police department, man. You need to get rid of that guy, no matter what it takes.
You're being way too nice. This guy and the rest of them should be taken out and beaten until they're a pile of goo, and then beaten some more.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, people like this should not be allowed to live.
I go ahead, Rolando. I feel like you want to jump in here. Oh, so for some
did we lose his audio?
Yeah, your audio's out. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Sorry about that. I forgot the exact Supreme Court case, but I know that unfortunately this is the one that drives me crazy, and a lot of people often forget is the Constitution or state law don't impose a general duty upon police officers or government officials to protect people from harm. So it's definitely something. Yeah, and it's definitely something. Now, obviously, that can be the case, but there's a form of honor and a sense of duty that comes into when you take an oath. Like that, and I think that unfortunately we've seen like a cultural shift, and sometimes it's just demographically. Certain places, Broward County is just that kind of place. We don't have the same demographics or traditions down here, the same type of politics. So you get a certain type of culture in the police corps down here, and that's kind of what you get, unfortunately. And sometimes it could be just a few bad seeds in one precinct that screw it up for everybody else, and they set a bad example.
And Rolando, based on what you said earlier, you made a really good point, I think, when you said that it's another example of when the government fails and we lose more liberty as a result. It was Thomas Jefferson that said those that give up essential liberty for temporary security deserve neither and will end up with neither. And, my whole thing with this is, I don't mean like myself, I'm not, I don't act like I'm some type of tactical expert, but I know enough to know that if you're the only man with a gun and there's a bunch of innocent people getting slaughtered, you engage the shooter.
Doesn't matter what happens
to you. It's pretty simple to me.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what happens to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, I think that man is a coward. And any normal-hearted person, even someone without, we'd have been better off having a good-hearted person like us with no gun to take that guy out.
Well, they had that one coach that got
that
tried to
jumped
in
front of it.
So they had people there.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
That's the shameful part.
Yeah, absolutely. There were teachers here that were trying to do something. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's funny to me that it's so easy to have something like COVID-19 pop up, and then they want to reset our rights, right? And put all these restrictions on us. How the hell can we reset what's happening in places like this? How can we reset what's happening in this county where basically these guys are useless? It's totally useless to have a situation like this going on. How the hell is this going to make these kids feel any safer to know that a bastard like this gets to go back and be on the police force? Who the hell? I mean, what's he doing? What's he actually going to do that's of any benefit?
Nothing.
It's going to take up oxygen.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist here, but I'm just going to say it. With Broward County, they have a track record. They're police officers. You saw the pictures of Scott Israel with Hillary Clinton. I mean, they are anti-American. They're anti-gun. How do we know that this guy, they are on record of being anti-gun? All of his officers are, basically. How do we know that this guy didn't want to use this tragedy as a way for the Floridians to lose their rights? I mean, how do we know? How do we know that he didn't go in, not just off of his heart, thinking, oh, well, maybe this will solve my political agenda? I mean, I don't mean to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but
which guy you're saying? The
guy that didn't go in the school. How do we know that because of him being anti-gun, he didn't want to stop him?
I think the dude was just a straight up coward. Peterson.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah. I think he's proven. I think it's one of those things
was there some saying that he's anti-gun? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Was he?
I think Israel is the main sheriff for the entire city.
Yeah.
He's like.
How does that happen? How does a sheriff become anti-gun? So he does his job without carrying a sidearm?
Well, it's not that they're anti-gun. They're anti everyone else having guns.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
So,
are we even
the tool for power? They're all for it.
Yeah, I think there might be something going on YouTube. I'm going to keep this going just in case because I know we're. Yeah. Yeah, there might be something that happened with YouTube, Lola's saying, because I noticed I can't see the chat scrolling through anymore, but we're still obviously going here. So I don't know if they took us down. I don't think we did anything to violate
we didn't
anything.
do anything.
We didn't do anything to violate anything so far as I know. Maybe they don't like what we're talking about.
It's possible.
Or something like that. But I think that for right now we're going to keep going unless I get some other word from Lola. And let's see if she's saying it looks like it's just a YouTube kind of issue or something like that. So we'll just keep going with this. There's so how do you what we were just talking about is how are you the sheriff of a county somewhere and you don't believe in guns? How do you do your job? You're not using guns, right? Or do you believe that only you could have the guns so that when you have to defend people and their children, you can make the choice to go, nah, I'm not going to do it. I don't feel like risking myself. Don't even put on the badge. Don't even consider a career in law enforcement if you're afraid of risk. This is why the community gets together and pays you money, even if it's a little bit of money or even if it's a lot of money. I wish that people that were professionals, that were well trained and that are really serving their community would make more money. I wish that would happen. But what the hell? How can you even be the sheriff and you have those kind of thoughts going through your mind? What's wrong with the people who even put a guy like that up there?
Because they're bureaucratic politicians.
Yep.
Yeah.
And what did Rick? I'm sorry, Richard. You go ahead.
Most of those damn sheriffs get voted in, and they are more concerned about their political career.
Yeah.
Than law enforcement.
Yeah. So what? That's just entry level or stepping stone to.
Yeah. It's just a stepping stone
to getting more power out of us. And I think it's what brings it back to to what Dylan was trying to say. Ultimately, we are alone. We are alone. It's better for us to not pay these people and not have them at all and realize that we are alone. Because all the things that they did here in Florida that goes against the Florida Constitution and the Constitution of America to give us gun control was totally, totally useless. And if you're one of these kids, I'm not trying to go after the kids or anything like that. I feel like they have the right to say and think whatever they want to. But if you're one of these kids and you really don't feel safe, how does any of this make you feel safe? How does any of this to make you feel safe? Go ahead.
And not only that, but these kids, many of them in high school, they don't realize that in Florida, once they turn 18, they have no Second Amendment at all. How is it? Could Rick Scott have been able to say, well, if you're 18 years old, you can't practice your freedom of religion anymore? Mm-hmm. It's always the Second Amendment that's treated as a second-class right that always gets trampled on. Yep. And it's not the Bill of Needs, it's the Bill of Rights. Mm-hmm. And I don't understand how this stuff hasn't been struck down in court. Just my opinion.
Unfortunately, go ahead, Rich.
The courts are too chicken to hear it.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we don't want to hear that because it might, look bad. Who gives a crap?
And I'll say one more thing.
Do your damn job.
Right. And I'll say one more thing. Rick Scott put his political career above the Bill of Rights. And he went around and did a whole dog and pony show as saying, "Oh, I just signed these laws. Look at how badass I am." And then what does Florida do? They send him to the Senate. It'll be years before they have to deal with him. And you know what I say to all the people that say, "Whoa, who did you want, Bill Nelson over Rick Scott?" Well, here's what I say. If Rick Scott would have lost and Bill Nelson would have won, we likely would have had a stronger candidate to run against Nelson the next 6 years. Yeah. But now we'll never get rid of Rick Scott.
Yeah. Also, what difference?
Be in there forever.
Right. Also, what difference does it make?
Yeah, they're the same thing. They're different parties.
Yeah, and we're just rewarding these guys for doing bad things. It's just like this cop. He did something horrible. We're rewarding it for him for that.
And I would tell it. If I was in your position, Hank, I would not have voted for Nelson. I would have voted third party, and I'd have.
I didn't vote for either one of those guys.
Yep. No, I know you did. I know you did. But I'm just saying, for me, I would not have voted. I would have not voted for Scott. No matter if people think he's the lesser of two evils or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let's just take a little quick break here. What exactly is going on?
It looks like all of YouTube is down.
That's what you see? Because someone else said it looks like they killed our channel.
It's not yours.
Okay.
Down.
Yeah.
CNN is down. Fox News is down. Those channels are down.
Yeah.
You can Google it.
Yeah. So let's just take a little break here, and I'm gonna still keep recording this, and then maybe we'll just have to post it back up later. Howen Pinder says no YouTube. Yeah. You're not seeing YouTube.
That's YouTube on my phone.
Wow.
A little circle. I just tried to go on YouTube.
Yeah. So
I broke YouTube.
I've never. You know what? This is so crazy. I've seen a lot of things. I've had the channel deleted. I've been kicked off while we're on air.
At least we know it's not us.
Yeah,
well, the crazy thing
insanity.
is I can see our feed because I had the window open in the background. It's still going. It's just the chat's not updating or anything. It's so weird.
Yeah. I feel because so the system that I'm using to put this to YouTube, it still says we're live. It says we're still going out there. So maybe there's some people who can actually see us. But we can't see.
They just can't comment.
Yeah, some people. It depends on the servers and where people are. So some people, Dylan, what are you seeing if you try to? I don't know if you're using your phone for this, so you might not be able to.
I'll pull it up real fast.
Yeah. But I know Howard Pinder reached out to me on my phone, and he said, first he thought that they pulled the channel, but he says, man, I can't get anything out of YouTube. So. Who broke the internet? I don't think it was us.
I can still see us in the chat. I just can't comment.
It's Chinese first strike. That's what it is.
Uh-oh. Man, who knows what's going on? It's crazy. Maybe there's just a lot of people going live right now. This is probably another effect of the whole coronavirus shutdown, right? That everyone's getting online and everyone's doing calls. I was just another thing I did before I came on here with you guys. I was just on I don't know what they call it, but one of these live calls with a bunch of the staff over at AmmoLand News. So shout out to those guys. I'm pretty sure they can't. I don't know if they were watching.
Can't see us.
Yeah. I was going to give them a shout out at some point here after I got I'm really pissed off about this thing, and that's why I'm not. I know it seems like I'm talking a lot because I do talk a lot, but I'm really mad and I'm trying to stop myself from just going all the way out to how mad I am about this particular thing, because it's really upsetting. I have young kids. My kids are still in college, but they went through high school and all this kind of stuff. And I mean, anyone who's if you've been a kid, you went to a school, I'm sure in your school stuff happened, and we've been worrying about this for a long time in America. And if we really want to fix things, let's actually fix stuff and stop like messing around and allowing nonsense like this to happen. Like I would not be as mad if I heard that Florida had to pay this guy to go away. But to put this guy back into effect, hell no.
Yep. Yeah.
You know, that should not be allowed to stand. Jason St. Pierre says we're still live.
Yep.
He said
I can still see us in there.
Yeah, it's just the chat is dead.
The chat's messed up.
He says in Maine he could still see us.
Yeah, I had my wife try to go on Facebook.
See you.
Yeah.
I carry my revolver. What you're talking about right this minute.
Right.
And he said Amoland, which tells me that you are.
Yeah. So here, I will throw this up on this. Let me go full screen for me. So I've said this before. I've given this number. Let me see if this will show the number. That's the number right there. If you want to communicate with me, by the way. So that's on my phone. That number actually goes through to my phone. It's an app called Superphone on my phone. There's lots of people that communicate with me. There's the number. It's 352-251-0048. If you want to reach out to me, you can do that. When the first time you reach out, what's actually going to happen with that is that it's going to send you a message saying fill out this form so I know who I'm talking to. Okay, because I do have haters, which is weird, but I guess we all have haters out there.
Okay.
So
then I guess let's continue.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep going. Man. We don't. Yeah, we're not.
Go on.
Yeah, we're not gonna stop it. And if there's people
Miller still watching from Pennsylvania.
James Miller. Shout out to James Miller as well. He's watching from Pennsylvania. So if the people out there, we'll keep going. Like I said, shout out to the Amoland guys. Another thing I wanted to tell you guys on this social media thing here, and I'm gonna throw it up on the screen. So for the last 2 months, we haven't had our main Facebook page, which we had over 15,000 followers on. Finally, Facebook gave it back to us. So Facebook/Hank Strange, we got it back.
Miracles do happen.
After a long time
That's
of
awesome.
fighting about it, it's really crazy. They still can't tell me what happened. So I think they're saying they hit us we did something with guns that we weren't supposed to do on there, but they can't tell us why we lost our page and then why it took so long to get it back. But we do have it back, and I'm not a super fan of all this stuff, but we need it in order to reach you guys. That's how it works. Until we all figure out a better way to do this, we need to rock and roll with these guys. And even if we had our own way, I'm sure we would run into technical difficulties. Raphael McCrae says, you're live. I'm in North Carolina. No chat. Okay, so that's Bricks. Shout out to Bricks. So now there's a whole bunch of people. Daryl Green says, I'm seeing the broadcast. Daniel Baria says he's watching. Shout out to all the people watching.
Gun Doctor TV.
Yeah. Huh?
Daniel's Gun Doctor TV.
Oh, right. Oh, Gun Doctor TV. Yeah, he says he's watching. So shout out to all those guys. What is happening in the world, man? Are we going to hell in a handbasket? Anyone?
Yes, we are.
Anyone have some theories? Dylan?
I'll tell you this, with the amount of guns that I'm seeing being sold and the place that I work at, people are starting to agree that the world is coming to an end.
Yeah. That's a lot of craziness. Chris Bullis says he refreshed the stream and it says my channel has no content. I think that's happening to a lot of different places. So
yeah, I think if you're in, you're in, and if you're not, you're not.
Yeah, we're gonna come back to this guy here in a second. I want to give it some time and see if these things get corrected while we're doing this. But let's go to Rolando. You're the new guy here you're the new guest here on the podcast for the first time. Why don't you tell us about yourself?
Sure.
Yeah, how you started doing this. Most of us are going to want to know how you met Latina Locked and Loaded, to be honest. But
yeah, I can go through all that.
Yeah.
So how did I get into guns? Well, I'm Puerto Rican Pistolero. I was born in Puerto Rico.
All right.
I was Navy brat growing up. My dad was in the Navy for 25 years.
Okay.
Both my parents are Puerto Rican, so my dad was born in Brooklyn, moved to Puerto Rico later on when his family got some land, and my mom was born and raised there. So after that, I was born there, moved to Japan, moved throughout the South Carolina, Jacksonville, ended up down here where my old man retired. Eventually I went to college down here. And that was around my freshman year was 2001. So obviously September 11th happened right when I started high school. And a lot of my older friends at the time that were seniors joined up in the military, most of them in the Corps. And when a lot of them came back when I started going to college, they're like, hey, we went out to duty. We went overseas. Let's show you how to shoot and how to protect yourself. And even though my dad was always pro-Constitution, everything like that, Puerto Rico doesn't really have a big gun culture. So, he never owned any firearms or anything like that. But he never discouraged, any of that. So my buddies took me out shooting, and that's pretty much all she wrote. I bought my first handgun when I was 21. And back then it was really more just the casual, hey, I can use this to defend myself, and I love going out shooting. Mm-hmm. So like a lot of people at that time, like pretty much everyone that I knew, 45s were still in. So that's what you get. So just like Joe was saying yesterday, that was my first pistol. I bought a Springfield XD. Yeah. That's what a lot of my buddies had back then. It seems like everyone had Glock 19s or they had XDs back then in that late 2000s kind of period.
Yeah. By the way, we've got the chat coming back. It looks like there's a bunch of stuff. I'm throwing it up on the screen when I can here. Looks like people are coming back on the chat. I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
No.
Yeah, if you're coming back, let us know. Also, smash the thumbs ups and all that kind of stuff. So Rolando was explaining that his wife Jo, when she was on yesterday, she said the first time you took her shooting, you just handed her a 45 and told her go shoot this. So she wasn't a big fan of that. So
the way that I always looked at it, it's like when you're growing up and the first time that you drink, if somebody doesn't give you some high level whiskey and they just hand you a plastic bottle, you don't know any better.
Right.
And you're like, hey, this is I'm having a good time over here. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty much how it was. I told her, I explained to her all the safety rules and just told her to go at it. This is a 45. It might have some recoil, but she took it like a champ. And like she said, she loved it. Mm-hmm. And I took a lot of my friends that were, guys and girls, and that's what I took them to shoot. Nobody ever complained. So sometimes it's just if you put somebody out there with an open mind and they don't know any better, sometimes they're like, hey, this is awesome. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend it for everybody. I think you want to start people on like a 22 or a bigger 9mm and just let them move from there. But, it seems like sometimes you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
So
I got a couple of questions about this, but if you do, Rich, or you do, Dylan, just let us know. One, was it like a test? Like in that movie where the guy said, you open the car for the girl and let her in, and then you go around to the driver's side and you wait to see, does she open the door for you? Was it a test? Was it one of those deals?
No, not really. I don't even remember how I brought it up because I'm sure that a lot of guys can attest to it, especially now the younger guys these days. Like I feel bad for the guys that are like 10 years younger than I am. I'm in my 30s. Mm-hmm. You just put feeders out there when you meet a woman that you think is the right woman. You're like, but I got some things like guns. Sometimes they can get skittish about this stuff. But I was usually pretty lucky. I had a lot of friends in my circle that were women, and they were always pretty open to firearms. So I was like, well, if Joe's just as cool as some of my friends, she's got to accept this, or else I'm not going to be down with this.
Yeah.
So I fed it in there, and she was like, oh man, I want to go shooting so badly. Let's do it. And that's pretty much where it worked from there. And
that's cool.
We were pretty much casual gun owners from there. Just had a couple of pistols and go plinking every once in a while.
Yeah. By the way, she's not J.R. Walls, is she?
Yes. Yeah, that is zero. That's her other YouTube.
First of all, I see this weird kitten thing, which Babyface was explaining what that means to me. That's some kind of like related to K-pop situation.
I think it's an anime on Netflix or something. I forgot.
Somehow. So I was like, I wonder if this is her over here. Okay, so very cool. And then the other thing that we were wondering yesterday, we were making fun of her, like, so you did this with all the girls, right? All the girls, you handed them. Was this your move?
No, it wasn't my move because I actually, like I said, we had a big circle of friends, pretty diverse. Mm-hmm. So it's just at that time where I just feel like That's just what we had in South Florida. We had a huge group of guys and girls, Latinos, Black people, brown people, white people, and we just used to go out all the time. So that was just one of our things. Like my friends kind of made it a welcome to the group, like let's go out shooting kind of thing. So we always had positive experiences. So anytime that I met somebody, especially a woman, that I felt it was important that, a lot of Latin women are pretty feisty and pretty strong. So that's how a lot of my friends in my group were. And, they were always into self-defense and trying to take martial arts and things like that. So, and a lot of them realized after a while, I can learn this, but if I'm facing an aggressor that's stronger than I am or has any sorts of these skills, I'm done. Like that's it. Yep. So I really need an equalizer. Yeah. So obviously open-handed skills are extremely important, but if you have any other tools like a firearm or a knife, that's going to increase your chances of survival, especially for a female or somebody who's smaller or older. So I always just said, hey, you should own a firearm. You're open to it. I've got one. Let's go. And I would just kind of encourage that.
Yeah, I think we lost Rich, but we'll probably get him back here. Dylan, so you're a young man out there. Do you currently have a girlfriend? I know this is prying. I know. I understand.
No, I do not, Hank. But
okay. Are you in the market? Are you in the market at all? Or are you just focusing on work and school nowadays?
To be honest with you, it's kind of like one of those things I told you about with me making an Instagram. I'm just lazy. I'm lazy. It gets put on the back burner. But
it's too much work. You sound like my sons. It's too much work to go after these chicks. But that's where I'm going with this. Like, we know what Rolando went through. Like, how is it for you out there? And Rolando, I'm sure you were trying to like make sure that any girl you were getting serious with had to be into guns, right? That's where you were headed with this.
Yeah, I actually went through a period before I met Joe where I was single for like 2 or 3 years. It would just be random dates, and I actually met her online. This is the really funny thing. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hijack this again.
No.
But
no problem.
I met her on the internet, and she ended up living 2 miles down the street from me.
What?
So that's the crazy part.
That's awesome.
And she actually, I had started messaging this other girl at the time.
And Go easy here.
Yeah, on this day, I was on OkCupid, so I don't know how that website is nowadays, but back then it was pretty legit. So I had been messaging somebody else, and she messages me. So Joe actually made the move on me. And, I went with the old, you got to have your dog in the profile photo trick. And so that initiated the conversation. So Dylan, if you got a dog or pets, you got to do that. That's the first advice I have to give you. That's how you show. That's how you show some humanity there.
Yeah. Right now is a good time for us to help old Dylan out here.
So she actually messaged me, and we ended up going back and forth. And I told the other girl, like, "Hey, look, I met somebody else. I'm gonna give her a shot. Like, sorry." And that's all she wrote. We went on a date, and 10 years later, this is where we are.
Awesome. Yeah, I think both of you did well to be with each other. So congratulations. People only congratulate me on Lola. Nobody says to Lola, you know what? You are so lucky to have such an awesome. No one ever says that. They just tell me, oh, she's so awesome. You're so lucky.
So what we say to Lola is, what the hell is wrong with you?
Yes. People have said that right in front of me. They're like, really? What is your problem, woman?
What do you see in him?
You could do so much better than this.
Are you drunk?
But you guys are lucky. So let's find out from. I mean, anyone could jump in here, but Dylan. So, do you even think about this kind of stuff? Do you have these kind of requirements? Like, you're not going to talk to any girls if they're not down with guns and stuff like that.
Exactly. Like, I'll tell you straight up, Hank. Like, the amount of people that I trust in my life, I can count with one hand. And like, I've got 2 really close friends of mine in college that that I trust with anything, and I got family members that I trust. But like with me, I will tell you straight up, like, I am very annoyed with most kids my age, and I don't think that I'm better than them, but by the way that they carry themselves, like, I find it so annoying that, like, it's hard for me to talk to girls my age. And then, like, a lot of times, like, the girls that I do like talking to that are older, they look at me and I look even younger than my age. So that kind of hurts me a little bit.
Yeah.
You know. So.
Yeah.
But when I get out of college next year, I'm gonna be. I was telling you how lazy I am with it, and I'll be running out of excuses when I get out of college next year.
Yeah.
Because I'll have a lot more time on my hands.
Yeah. I mean, I would say this to you, right? I would say this to you. Have faith. Don't worry about it. I mean, look at us here, the guys who are married. We're not the, some of us aren't the sharpest tools or the best looking tools in the shed. We still got married, so there's hope for you.
Right. Well,
there's plenty of stupid out there.
There's a part of that I didn't hear, and I'm so glad.
hey, Hank, I'll just say this. I'll just say this on record. I had a lot of fun when I was in Vegas.
Oh. Okay. Yeah. Let's leave it there.
I'll just leave it there.
Let's leave it there. But I think the reason why I'm asking about this, I know we're kind of switching, and I'm seeing everyone's coming back in here, and we'll switch back to what we were talking about. But I think it is important. I think a lot of kids feel the same way that Dylan does. Like in today's time, it's so hard. Like people. I'm not saying everyone is under this spell of whatever's going on, because everyone isn't.
Yeah.
But it seems like so many people, it's not just young people. They're grown-ass people. They're old people who are under some kind of they're hypnotized by the media and stuff like that, and they just can't see this no matter what you say to them. Jump in here if any of you guys agree with me or you're noticing the same thing.
Oh, no, I wholeheartedly agree with you. It's ridiculous, some of these people, wearing their masks while they're driving by themselves in their car. What the hell is that? And they're wearing the mask, down like here.
Oh my God. I gotta pull up this meme that Joe Rogan had. I saw this Joe Rogan meme on his IG. Let me see if I can pull it up here. Joe Rogan, let's see here. I'm going to throw this in here and share it. So here's a meme that was on his IG. I'm going to share it with you guys. Dudes that wear face masks when they're driving, and it's a girl holding up the guy while she's kissing him. Have you guys seen that meme? It's gonna show up here in a second for you guys. It's like the girl holding the guy up situation, and absolutely, yeah. You're not even a beta male at that point. You're a, how do you say the C? What's the Latin for this? Like you're like below beta. You got to be below beta. I'm sorry, in my mind.
Gamma. Gamma.
Yeah, you're way down there, man. I don't even understand how dudes, like I know I've seen women doing it too, and it's not a good look. But damn, guys, what's wrong with you? How'd you get up every day and function?
I think we just seen, really like a death of masculinity. And that's not just in men. It's just both, like the trait of masculinity has been kind of demonized, obviously, really with men, men in particular. Mm-hmm. And it's really permeated everywhere. And, it started, if you look at history, you understand where it started from. It started, we want to encourage women to go into, education, just be educated like men, go to college, have equal rights. But like anything else in history, there were people that started with good intentions. Then there were people who took advantage of it for an agenda. And then you had like an overcorrection. Mm-hmm. So we ended up going from, women didn't have equal rights with men to now they have equal rights with men to now we've demonized men and, they're trash in a lot of ways. And the traits that even women nowadays, you read so many articles about these supposed feminists that, they demonize men, but then they're like, but I cheat on my husband because he doesn't satisfy me in the bedroom because he's a beta male. And that's what I said I wanted, but now I go hook up with some macho guy in a bar somewhere who, treats me like I'm dirt. But that's really what I want.
No.
And instead of having the balance of positive masculinity with promoting, good fatherhood, setting strong examples, self-sufficiency, respect, things like that. Now it's just, all about weakness and, what do you want to say? Instant gratification.
Yeah.
So, and things like that.
Yeah.
And Hank, I want to say something too on kind of on the same topic. Something I just thought of. My biggest problem with girls my age is I treat them too nice. That girls my age are so stupid that they want the big badass guy that treats them like crap. And that's just not me.
Yeah, that's been going on for a long time. I have to tell you, that's been going on for a long time. That was my move when I was in high school, because I was always a really nice guy, and then I realized I was like, oh, these chicks don't respond to that. So I started just like pretending I was quiet and moody, and a badass or whatever. And then all of a sudden it was like, I couldn't get him off me, man. And I was like, wow, there's really something wrong with. I'm not saying that there's something wrong with all women, but it's like it was so easy to see. So I think like it's not just you going through that. I think all of us in our different generations are probably seen that with women. And one of the things I want to say, like, I don't want anyone to think that I think women are weaker. Women, here's the, like, this has been said before. Women are not differently shaped men. They are different creatures from us. Okay? Yep. We are literally different creatures from each other. And they have their superpowers and their awesome things, and they have their weaknesses, and we have our superpowers and our awesome things, and we have our weaknesses, right? Let me ask you this right now. We're all dudes right here. We're all sausage right here on this show right now. Who wants to push out a baby?
Hell no. I've seen it twice. Are you nuts?
Yeah. So, I mean, women have that strength. They have that power, and they're able to have children, and that's amazing. Right? That's an amazing thing. So we all have our pluses and minuses and things like that. The problem is that the media is twisting America so much that this is one of the big places where we're losing. Go ahead, Dylan.
Huh?
Oh, I thought you wanted to jump in. No, I thought you wanted to.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, you had this look on your face like you wanted to jump in, or is someone messaging you right now?
Well, man, I'll be honest, Hank. I just got off of work, man, and I'm just.
Oh, okay, all right.
I'm struggling a bit. I'm sorry.
No, that's cool. That's cool. We'll talk about guns. Yeah, we'll talk about guns. We'll get you ramped up. We'll get you ramped back up here. So I don't know if anyone wants to add to that before we go back. I think we've got our audience back here.
I think somebody asked a question earlier. I'm sorry because I couldn't go in the chat about my dad. He was a lieutenant commander in the Navy. Somebody said they were curious about that.
Yeah. So. Okay. Very cool. Everyone out there, smash the thumbs ups. Okay. Someone was asking you in the chat before we went off whether or not you could salsa, and they said this is a serious question. They're not trying to be. They're not trying to be racist or anything like that.
No. I'm not saying that my parents probably wouldn't be satisfied with the quality of my salsa. But yeah, Joe and I have been. It's funny. So probably in our circles in South Florida, we'd be seen as average to mediocre. But when the white people and black people invite us to their parties and we dance salsa, we look like we're on Dancing with the Stars.
Well,
so
that's the point. Yeah, that's the point. That's the point.
I'll take it that way.
You got to know how to switch those hips. That's the only. First of all, I'm not a good dancer.
If it's a non-Latino wedding, we're good to go. If it's a Latino wedding, then we're kind of like, we got to hide in the corner.
Yeah. The only dancing I think guys should be able to do is like a little bit of a two-step. Just enough to satisfy your chick. Just a little bit of a two-step. That's all you need.
I leave the dancing to the professionals.
Yeah.
It's in blood. It's just one of those things that you learn growing up. It's like walking.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think this is, you could tell me if this is out of bounds, but I know, like, growing up in New York, I had lots of friends who were Puerto Rican. I had girlfriends and stuff like that who were Puerto Rican. If you hung out with anyone that was Puerto Rican, at some point in that relationship, you're going to have to do a salsa. You're going to have to do some dancing.
Dancing was a big deal. I want to say that my parents weren't necessarily as hardcore because my mom was learning how to speak English in the early part of my dad's naval career to survive, because even living in Japan, nobody knows Spanish, but English is kind of a universal language everywhere.
Yeah.
So we kind of became really we got a huge mix of Puerto Rican and American culture.
Mm-hmm.
But growing up, I definitely have more mainland. I guess I would call it mainland because as Puerto Ricans, we are Americans.
Mm-hmm.
So I got more mainland exposure and more English American kind of cultural stuff. But it was always in the background. The music is always playing in the back of the house.
Yeah.
Dad gets home and he's always messing around and dancing with mom, and that's how it is.
So Joe says, "Oh yeah, we salsa danced on date number 1."
Yeah, we did.
So there you go. Boom. There you go. That's in a lot of different cultures. Like my parents danced and all that kind of stuff too, and you can do a little. I'm not a fan of it. I'm like Dylan. I think bad boys just lean up on the wall. You know what I'm saying? That's what real bad boys do. But what about you? Don't try to escape this dancing question, Richard. Do you dance or not? We could get your wife to answer this if we have to.
Luckily, she doesn't like to dance.
So
okay. I don't have to dance.
Okay, all right. So you got lucky.
When I was growing up, I spent years at dancing school.
So you can dance.
The foxtrot and the jitterbug and all that.
Was that to meet girls?
No, that was because my parents said you will go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I understand.
It was nothing I wanted to do.
Yeah. Okay. You didn't want to do it, but you learned some moves, though, right?
Oh yeah, I learned.
Okay.
I learned the traditional dances, and I don't completely suck. I just suck.
Yeah. 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 There's nothing wrong with being able to dance. Nothing wrong with it at all. Yeah. So Razor JB says, what part of Japan and when? And then he says Zama 95 to 97. I'm not sure what that means, but that's up to you.
We were in Yokosuka, so it's the 7th Fleet headquarters from 90 to 92. So I was like 5 years old, but I actually remember a lot of it.
Yeah.
It was a pretty cool time.
Yeah. And
I'd love to go back.
Okay, Lola says lean on the wall, aka cannot dance. Okay, Lola, that's not true. Don't even try it. That's not true, Lola. By the way, so when I met Lola, one thing about her, she liked to dance. Lola was in the clubs every night. Every night in New York City. She grew up in Maryland. She's like a quiet, nerdy girl. So she came to New York City to go to college, and kaboom! She had to be in the club every night. So this was my move. Was I like one of the few dudes in New York City who had a car? So like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, I'll pick Lola up from the clubs, and then we'll hang out. I'll take her somewhere and like make like a early breakfast or something like that. That was my smooth. I had my own apartment, my own car. That was my move. That's how I got down. So.
Man, you were it.
You're ahead of the game.
Yeah, if you're ever wondering, like when you guys were talking about it before, like you're wondering, like how the hell did Hank Strange do this? That was my move, man. That's why I believe in the power of cars. She's trying to say I have 2 left feet. That's not true, woman. That's not 100% true.
Make him dance. Make him dance.
I could do a 2-step. Can I or can I not do a 2-step? I'm not going to say what she's saying right now. I'm not going to repeat that. Yeah.
We can hear.
Oh, damn. Okay. So, okay, listen, let's go back to some gun stuff over here. Like I said, I'm going to encourage everyone to smash the thumbs ups. I don't know if everyone got it out of their system about this sergeant in Parkland here that they put back to work. Does anyone have anything else they want to add to that before we move on from it?
Got to bring that up again, don't you?
Yeah.
Got to piss me off again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a really maddening thing. I know it's just coming out now, but it's really maddening. And I think at some point in America, people should demand that if you're a politician, if you're in government, you're serving us. We're not working for you. You work for us, and we should demand better than this. So if you're in this part of Florida, you should demand better. You should tell them we don't want this guy in the system. We don't want him on the streets. I know. I agree with what Rolando said that the Supreme Court came out with this nonsense that they don't have to protect and serve. Well, that's bullshit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why do you become a cop if you don't want to protect and serve?
Yeah.
And the same people that say that we don't need firearms to protect ourselves are the same ones that say the police don't have a duty to serve and protect us. While at the moment they're letting all these criminals out of jail.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're at all this Corona stuff. And,
Yeah.
it's just they just want you unarmed and helpless.
Yep.
All the time.
Well, that's why we got to take advantage of this time, and this time is kind of a blessing and a curse the way that I look at it, because especially my wife and I, we've seen more people in our circle come out and say, message us in the background like, hey, I really feel unsafe right now. The government's letting people out on the streets, criminals. Like, I want to buy a firearm. What do I need to do? Mm-hmm. And luckily for our friends, they're in Florida. So it's not as good as it used to be, but it's a lot better than a lot of states. Mm-hmm. But even then, they're still shocked. I got to wait 5 days, a 5-day waiting period to buy a gun. That's crazy. And right now you can't even, Nikki Fried has obviously frozen our online permitting system.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you're not fortunate like us that you already have a concealed carry permit, first of all, it'll probably take you weeks even if the system was up to get it anyway. Yeah. But now you can't at all. Mm-hmm. So
I was talking to one of my neighbors. Actually, one of my neighbors called me today. I don't know where they got my number from, but one of my somehow, right? This is probably why I shouldn't give out my number on the internet. But one of my neighbors called me. He was like, "Hey, I'm your neighbor, and we wanted to know if we could come shoot with you because we're trying to get our CCWs." And I asked him some questions to confirm that he was my neighbor and everything. And then I was like, okay, listen, I'm cool with that, And then he called me back because he was trying to get everything arranged. I guess he has a friend who can give them the class and everything. They just wanted to know where they could do it. And since they know that I shoot and all that kind of stuff, they asked me. I said I was fine with that. Then he came back and said that, we're coming over, but I just came to realize that that office for the CCW thing is closed. And I was like, yeah, I hate to talk to you about politics because we're neighbors, but this is why people need to pay attention, when they're voting. Yep. And I said, in Florida, we voted in a liberal to be in charge of CCW permits. So, yeah, that's why it's closed right now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, we really messed up big time there, and we didn't pay attention. We didn't demand better than that, and this is what we have, unfortunately.
Yeah, we got to encourage those new earners to vote now based on their rights. Yeah. Maybe they'll know better.
Yeah.
And we have to challenge the talking points when these politicians say, oh, we support the Second Amendment. We just want common sense reforms. Really? Mm-hmm. Well, then why did you close the office down where people can't even protect themselves?
Yeah. And if they want common sense, my first response to that common sense nonsense is okay, you want common sense reform? Start with you. Start with the man in the mirror. Reform yourself.
Yeah.
I want to see you guys have term limits. I want to see actual punishment for when you guys violate not just your oath of office, but when you do unethical things. I don't care if you have an R or a D behind your name, right? Right now we have in the news about these politicians. I think there's a Republican that had to step down because he was doing some stock trading based on info that he was getting about coronavirus. And I know someone's told me before that that's 100% legal, but
there's legal and there's ethical, and what we as voters can accept. Just because obviously there's a lot of things that they do that are both illegal and unethical, mm-hmm. but at least for the things that we can see that are unethical, it's up to us to make sure. Do you want somebody that's unethical to represent you in Congress? Why would you want that? Because they're not going to deal in good faith anyway, and they will create laws that are going to be bad for you if they're already willing to be immoral when it comes to things like that.
Yeah. You got to try to live up to a higher ethical standard when you serve the people. So let me just get to this real quick. James Miller made a good point here. I'm trying to catch up with the chat. He says, Hank, they should fire the guy from Parkland and hire Greg Anderson from Washington who made the video about not infringing on people's rights.
Yep.
1,000% if I could. I would agree with that.
But I bet Broward is just like Seattle when it comes to that, though.
Yeah, they're
just as bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyone have any, before we move on from that, anyone have any input on that whole thing with Greg Anderson and the video? Did you guys see it? Did you get around to seeing any of that video?
Yeah.
Okay.
Saw both of them.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. So what do you guys think about this?
I thought it was. I thought he did the right thing, and I think it's refreshing for people, especially now that we're living in a time where really I think we've seen a lot of people in the freedom movement. I know we have a constant debate about backing the blue and things like that on the gun side, and I think now more than ever, the blue is under an onslaught because we're seeing a lot of unfortunately seeing a lot of police officers enforce not even laws, they're decrees. Somebody's not wearing a mask, somebody's at the park, some dude is out surfing in the middle of the ocean. We have to go arrest that person. And so to see now in the midst of all of that, unfortunately, a lot of police officers kind of, showing what people said, like, hey, we told you that they would do this the entire time. They care more about their jobs than the Constitution. To see a police officer that's like, no, I'm not going to stand for that. It's pretty refreshing. Mm-hmm. And hopefully it encourages other police officers to do the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think, Rich?
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see a lot of the police officers, step up and do what he's doing. Mm-hmm. I've never been a huge fan of law enforcement. Mm-hmm. I have problems with and I don't know why. Maybe I'm just a dick, but
well, that's always at least 75% of the situation.
Yeah, at least it shows there are some of them that are good, decent people, and that know what their job is and what it's supposed to be and what the Constitution means. And, unlike so many of these, we don't give a shit about the Constitution. Well, you goddamn should.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of them who feel that way. I know I'm not going to tell you guys 100%, right? But I feel like there's a lot of police officers, and I think you're right, Rolando, that, there is this kind of like debate that goes on in the gun community. Are we pro-cops, anti-cops? And I know people hate to go down the middle of this. I'm in the middle of this. I'm anti those cops who believe that they're not citizens like the rest of us. We're all citizens. The politicians are citizens. The cops are citizens.
And they call us civilians.
Yeah, that's a problem. I have a problem with that. We are all part of this society. We are all serving this society together. And we're all serving each other.
Yeah.
Okay? Not in the same ways, not even in equal ways. So, I think that there's some guys that become police officers to be bullies or thieves and all kinds of bad stuff. But most of the people who do this, I see these guys every day, right? So it would be disingenuous for me to say, oh, man, you know what? These guys are all bad. I see these guys. I have family members that are these guys. There's people who I really care about, that this is their profession. And I know for a fact that they really mean this and they're really all about this and they believe in the Constitution, they believe in America, and they want to serve people and they're willing to risk their lives. And that's what makes me mad. That's what makes me mad, like at this guy who gets to do this and then come back and now we have to deal with him. So, but it's sometimes tough to have that conversation with some gun guys. Go ahead.
And something that I'll say, like, from working at a gun store I've been working for close to 8 months now. Mm-hmm. I like Richard. I mean, I'm more of a libertarian mindset, so I've always viewed law enforcement as a waste of money because I just don't think the police are very efficient in stopping crime, and they're not. Their job isn't to stop crime; it's to show up. Mm-hmm. But I will say, I've got to meet several of the officers from our local police department in Kentucky, and I've gotten to shake hands with these men, and many of these men are men that, really would go out of their way to, in uniform or not, would really go out of their way to make sure not only you're safe, but like if you had a car trouble and your tire was flat, these would be people that would stop, that would fix your car up, and they're just really good, honest people. And it's just, it's that to me, while I'm not a huge fan of a lot of the things law enforcement does, that's at least refreshing to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's just a sign of the culture too. I mean, the police are the people. So as you see a culture deteriorate and people care less about one another and have lower standards of honor, morality, and things like that, then of course you're going to see that in the police force too, because they're just a reflection of, unless you're going to hire foreign police or something like that, they're from the community. So you're going to see some of the community, the good or the bad, reflected in them as well.
And one thing I forgot to add on law enforcement, something that I believe strongly, I believe to be in law enforcement, you should have had to have served in our U.S. military, because one thing that I believe is every officer that I've ever met that has served in the military, I know there's probably some bad apples out there, but everyone that I've ever talked to are normally the ones that really care about our rights.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. I'm not sure if I'm 100% on that, but I like the direction you're going. I would even say like it maybe should be a requirement that everyone serves in the military.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might do us all a little bit better if we think about it. And I think one of the problems that we have is, especially in some places, I don't think this is not all of the country, and this is definitely not all of Florida. In some places we have too many cops.
Yeah.
And what we really need is less cops, better vetted, better trained. We don't need someone to be a cop because we need so many black cops or Latino or so many women. Let's get like the best people, pay them.
Let's get the people who want to be cops.
Yeah, let's pay them, train them. Go ahead.
And many of the cops, that are former military guys, those are the guys you want guarding the schools and whatnot, because when they don't run away from the sound of gunfire. I mean, it's pretty simple to me.
Yeah. I think if we did this the right way, to go back to what you were saying, then in general we can all serve each other. So if we have less cops, instead of like how some cities like New York City, Miami, right, other places have too many police officers, and those are the only people sometimes that can easily be able to defend themselves. Let's let the people be able to defend themselves, and then have these police officers serve specific jobs that we say, hey, this is what we want you to do.
Yep.
Instead of rolling around giving everyone tickets and stuff like that, and just trying to build up revenue.
Yep.
Let's get something better out of it. So, let me see here. I don't know.
The one thing I always have to remind myself, and I've got a number of friends that are cops and stuff, and I always have to remember the crap that they have to deal with. And I'm talking just the people. They're, most of the time they're not dealing with the, decent part of society.
Yeah.
They're dealing with the dregs of the society, the crackheads,
And that's why we hire them, right? Because we decide we don't want to deal with that.
Yeah.
This is the weird thing. If you look at places where, and maybe they're even right, like the police are killing too many of the people there. But really, if you completely remove the police department from there, who's going to do that? Who's going to deal with the bad guys?
Chicago.
Yeah.
Well, and sometimes it's just the laws that create the situation. It's like Prohibition created the gangster, situation and things like that. You have the illegal drug trade creates the cartels, and that's where we get a lot of the border violence and things like that. So sometimes you have to pull out of the situation and say, well, we kind of created this because we tried to pass laws to stop certain things that, like you said, a lot of us have a libertarian mindset. Some things just let the people do them, and they have to face the consequences for it, rather than creating a black market which creates crime and things like that, that then you have police that have to go in there and deal with it all the time.
Yeah.
So that's part of it too. If you don't have people getting arrested for selling single cigarettes in New York City, you're not going to have police have to arrest people and get into altercations for stupid reasons either.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of how it works.
Very true. Very true. I mean, even I was looking at the video of, I think it was a Target, and this is not cops, these are security guards, but the Target where they had this mask policy, and then I guess there was some guys in there without the masks, And
they weren't wearing them right or something.
Yeah, and so they asked those guys to leave or whatever, and they were trying to escort them out, and somehow they got into a little bit of a melee with these guys. I think I saw Guns and Gear put this up, right? This was so silly.
Yeah, I saw it today.
Yeah, this was so stupid on both sides. Like, we're creating this mask thing that's not necessarily helping people, but okay, you did it. And then you want to compel everyone to do it. And you've got security guards spending their time trying to make sure people are doing that when they have lots of other things to worry about. And now you're creating a situation where there's a melee going on in your store, there's a shooting in your store. The solution you came up with is making it worse and creating problems that didn't exist before that. You know? It's really stupid. And then what are we going to do when we go back? If I guess they're not planning on going back, to be honest. I hate to say this. I hate to sound like a conspiracy guy. They must not be planning on going back, because what happens when we go back and then people want to start robbing places wearing masks again, if that's not already happening. And then, people, they go back to like, hey, you can't wear a mask and come in here.
Well, this is where I've been having this weird, because everybody says the masks are for control. And I'm willing to go down the conspiracy path, because you have to be able to think certain things. You have to be able to be open-minded to almost every scenario in order to prepare for things, even if it's unlikely. So, we went to SHOT Show in January, wasn't it? Right at the end of January. And if people were paying attention, we'd heard of the Wuhan virus and everything like that going on in China. So my wife and I, we already started preparing. We stockpiled. We had N95 masks and gas masks and things like that. We stockpiled food just because we're like, you never know. It's 100 years since the original flu. But then in the beginning, they told us you don't need any masks. They don't do anything. Then they said we have to have them. Now, I knew the reason why they said not to wear them in the beginning, and that was, one, they didn't want to cause a panic. This is my thinking behind it. And two, we have a lot of family in the healthcare industry. We knew that there weren't enough supplies to stop a pandemic anyway. So I think their first gut instinct is, if it's bad, we can't tell people to wear masks, because if it's really bad, we're not going to have enough gear for doctors and things like that. Turns out the Chinese were lying about a lot of stuff. It wasn't as bad as people said. But whatever, that's neither here nor there. But it comes down to having to be prepared, not forcing people to. Oh, anyway, sorry, I kind of went on the tangent.
Oh, this is what happens to you when you go down the conspiracy, tunnel.
So anyway, I think it was, at first they didn't have it. They didn't have enough gear. They didn't want people to panic.
Yeah.
Then they started encouraging it. Now, for the people that say it's about control, we've got Google and Apple working on programs to start tracing people. They want to work with the vaccine.
Right.
Now, facial recognition is one of the best things to follow people. So the masks, even if they are for control, they also destroy kind of like facial recognition software. That's why the protesters in Hong Kong use it all the time. It drives the Chinese crazy. So in my opinion, it's weird, because I'm like, if masks drive the Chinese crazy when there are protests, and they've got the most massive surveillance network in the world, it's kind of like one of those things of, we're also kind of hurting the state in a way from being able to monitor us in one way. So it's like they're setting themselves up to not be able to control us in the end if they start allowing us to wear masks. And then, like you said, crime could go up too. So it's kind of this weird thing. I think they just kind of lost control, and they don't even know what to do at this point.
My response to that, before I'll definitely let you guys jump in. My response to that is, I think that their form of control is chaos.
Yeah, that could be it too.
Yeah.
Yep. That's what I think they want. They want all this craziness. They want people to crack. They want people to not be sure of what's happening from day to day and be under this pressure, and for all kinds of things to go crazy. Because at the end of the day, they know they're fine. Everything they're setting up, when they set up these gun laws, they don't say that politicians have to live by this too and won't have protection. Right? There's always things built in to make sure that they stay protected. So I think it's the same kind of situation here, that they just really want this chaos. And a lot of times I feel like they're just pushing the buttons. Let's see what will happen here. It's obvious that they could have gone about this a different way. Even if it wasn't obvious then, it's obvious now. These guys are planning on not letting go of this.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and if we get another serious wave, they're planning on going right back to this. And what do you think happens in that? In that we get wrecked.
Yep.
You know. Go ahead. I don't know. Go ahead.
I think we're in a weird situation too, because the thing that a lot of people don't like to talk about, obviously our politics, we have the media obviously spinning a lot of things, trying to make us afraid of everything. We have politicians, you know, fighting one another. You know, if one side says something that actually is common sense and makes sense, the other side says, no, it's got to be terrible. Mm-hmm. And you end up just with this impasse. Like you said, they cause chaos, they cause fear, they want control. And, you know, that's how they keep us, you know, divided throughout all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think most of us know in our hearts what's wrong and what's right.
Yeah.
I think most of us know that. And if we don't, like Dylan was saying, if there's people out there who don't know, I don't know. I don't even think I have like empathy or sympathy or any one of the pithies.
Yeah,
but I don't have any one of those for you, because you just don't care about the rest of civilization. If you think that, like, if you think because of this thing you should get paid forever for the rest of your life, you should make thousands of dollars. Like, who the hell do you think is going to go out there and work so that you could do that?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
they don't know.
Yeah. So go ahead.
Yeah, and that's what they encourage, you know, because they don't. Knowledge is ultimately power. If you don't know your rights, if you don't know the truth, if you don't know basic information, you don't know how to take care of yourself, you don't know how to defend yourself, then they can trample all over you. Mm-hmm. And it's not just the people here that want to take power. We are in a war. You know, we're in a Cold War with China, and they do want to undermine us. And if you'll recall early on, you know, Twitter really is a cesspool, but it's where you can really see a lot of this playing out, because the media and the politicians and a lot of influencers all kind of jump into Twitter, and you see things play out in real time. And I don't know if you guys remember, early on they were saying that Trump was going to declare martial law and FEMA was going to set up camps and the military was going to basically take over. That was actually the Chinese intelligence agency that spread that rumor on the internet. And we've been seeing that from the start they're trying to do that. So we have our own media, which undermines us, and then we have the Chinese government.
Yeah.
I
think our media is complicit with the Chinese.
They are. They take it.
Hollywood is owned by the Chinese.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. They know that. They know political correctness is our weakness. Mm-hmm. So, you know, because China doesn't follow any of our rules. They're an atheistic society that's almost like monolithically racial. If you're not one of the Han Chinese, you're a second-class citizen. Mm-hmm. If you're black or Muslim, we've seen what they've done. They blame black people for the virus. They throw Muslims in concentration camps. Mm-hmm. And, you know, they have us by the balls with our debt.
Yeah, so, and then they call us racist.
Exactly, because they know it'll piss us off, but they're not affected if we call them racist.
Yeah,
they don't care.
Did you see that there was this video of where a reporter was asking Trump something like, oh, you know, do you think it's wise or right for you to brag about, you know, how many people you've saved and how many tests you do when all these people died? And then I think he said something like, why don't you ask the Chinese? You know, and I guess she was Asian. So she had this mask on like halfway or whatever, and then she took it off. She's like,
why would you say that to me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, they're trying to push that narrative on us. These are the people who literally said to Africans living in China, you can't go, don't go out anywhere. You can't go into any restaurants or anything like that.
Yep. And then, you know, they had the WHO. I remember like a Taiwanese news agency was interviewing one of the directors of the WHO, and he basically didn't acknowledge that Taiwan did anything good, because you can't mention Taiwan and you know, the Chinese, because they get all sensitive about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Listen, I don't know if we want to go to some gun stuff.
Yeah.
Richard, where are you going off to? Go ahead, Dylan. Do you want to say something? Dylan, did you want to say
gun stuff?
Yeah,
he had to show off the guns behind him.
Yeah, exactly. He has to step out of the way. He can't touch those, obviously. Yeah, he can't touch him. So one of those guns behind you is a famous gun.
Not yet, but it might be.
Well, I know one of them belongs to Mac. That's the gun that last week.
I'll get my pointer.
Yeah.
So you can see I'm not going to touch it.
Yeah, but still don't.
I
don't like the pointer idea, Rich. I don't like the pointer idea. Okay. So one of those guns behind. What are they? First of all, explain to us what we're looking at there behind.
Okay.
And I'll go full screen on you so we could see.
Yeah. That one is my Smith & Wesson Smith & Wesson Model 76 submachine gun.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a cheap copy of the Swedish K. Mm-hmm. And then that one is Military Arms Channel. That's a semi-auto version by MK Arms he's got that didn't work. He wanted to do wanted to do a video of it, and he can't get through a magazine.
Okay.
So I've got it here, and I'm doing my magic to it.
Yeah.
And
so
when I send it back, he'll do a video of it.
Yeah. So just as a little bit of backstory,
very cool.
Yeah, last week was that last week? Yeah, last week when
I think it was last week.
Yeah, last week you were on. Mac was in the chat. He was verifying all of this. That's his gun.
Yeah, he opened his mouth first. Yeah. I could and not said a word about it.
Yeah. So that's a cool thing. Now, are you actually going to let people come over there and fondle that gun, or
Yeah, $10 a head. You can lay your hands on it. It's not on live stream.
No, not on the live stream. Yeah. No, listen. Here's what I would say. We're probably all looking forward to seeing Mac make that video. So you need to get that gun working. How about that?
Yeah.
Get that gun working so we can see the video. Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And Hank, I think I've had mine up at your hacienda.
Oh, you have? Okay, cool.
I think I had it up at Babyface P's party.
His bachelor party? Okay. I was going to say get it working and then bring it to me first, but I'll never do that. Not really. I would think about it, but not do it. I wouldn't do it to him. I'm pretty sure he's looking for
him to come down.
Yeah, he comes down here from time to time. He's been down here, and yeah, he may do it again. Okay, listen, Flying Rich gave us a couple of bucks here. He gave us $5. He says, I tuned in for family therapy with BWE Richard. Get rid of this foil hat crap. The big conspiracy theory guy in the whole crew. So that he doesn't really mean that. So, let's see what other gun stuff is going on with you guys. Anyone get any cool guns? I know we can't show them or anything like that, or anyone has their eyes on anything cool. I think, Dylan, there was something that you were saying that you guys had in the store, and you sold it really cheap, and then Walter was like, man, I wanted one of those.
I know, and I'm going to start... I'm going to start texting you when stuff like that comes up. The problem I have is, like, sometimes when that happens, it literally is on the shelf for 5 minutes max.
Mm-hmm.
That was that Wolf T91 upper we sold for $200 when they're generally like $450 new.
Wow.
I mean, that was a deal.
Mm-hmm.
But I will tell you at the store, I won't talk about. Am I allowed to talk about prices?
I don't mind if you talk about prices. I don't know if the store minds.
I will tell you. If anybody is in need of anything right now, there's a lot of places to buy your firearms, and I work at a place called Everything Concealed Carry in Louisville, Kentucky, and if I know things can be hard to get right now. Like we just got in some Glock 19s today, a couple of them. And they're Gen 4s. They're normal price, $4.99.
Mm-hmm.
We're Glock stocking dealers. We price our stuff as low as Glock will let us. We completely restocked with SIG pistols, although SIG is having an issue right now where most of the models, like the 365, the 320, those types of guns, they only come with one magazine because they are behind production on their magazines. But they send you a little verification code where you go on their website and register, and they mail you another magazine. In a little bit.
Yeah.
So they're behind on that, but we're pretty much fully stocked on Glock, Smith & Wesson pistols, and Springfield and SIG.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the other brands. I mean, I've got I've got a DPMS Gen 2 G2 308 in stock. I've got a couple different. I've got the SIG M400 Tread. I've got a few different ARs like the Smith & Wesson M&P Sport 2. So, I mean, if anyone's in the store, like I said, there's plenty of places to buy your guns online and stuff, but we can ship out of state. And like I said, if you guys call the store, Hank, if you don't mind, I'll give the number to the store.
Absolutely, yeah. Go ahead.
You can call the store anytime at 502-657-8488. And it may not always be me that answers the phone because I'm not there every day. But, I mean, we'd be, we're a smaller store by, like, employee-wise. So we tend to try to remember everybody and what they need. So, and like I said, I mean, even if you just want to call and say hi, I'm happy. As long as we're not slammed, I'm happy to talk to you.
Yeah, absolutely. This is why you need social media, my
and that's coming, Hank. I promise it's coming. I know I've been telling you.
You let Richard Hoffman get on social media before you.
I know. That's how lame
Rich is a social media mogul at this point.
I know.
I don't know if he can even hear me. Can you hear me, Rich?
He's zoned in.
Yeah. Oh, he looks frozen. He looks like his camera froze. Shout out to Hootie Hoo. I see Hootie Hoo out there. You know what I would say about the SIG thing before we... Okay, it looks like Rich is back. Can you hear us, Rich?
Yeah. I got a bad internet tonight. It's storming. It got a little storm going out and it's just a mess.
Yeah. Let's go back to that SIG thing because I remember I was looking at a store's website. I was thinking about getting a SIG P320. And I was looking at this store's site, a pretty big store. I'm not going to mention them because they couldn't tell me why this was happening. So I don't want to get them into anything. But I looked at their site, and all the SIGs were discontinued. So is this because of what you were saying just now with the magazine, or what's going on there?
We didn't have SIG pistols for almost a month. They were all on back order, like the 365 and the 320 series that, which includes like the M17, the M18, the 365 XL, they're striker fire guns. And we just got them in about a week ago. Cause like my boss, he is very good about ordering things. He's just had it, in the cart and they've been on order. They've just, all been unavailable. And from, when they just got in, I will say like it does suck because, it has cost us a little bit of sales on the SIG guns because, a lot of people rightfully so, like, the 365, those magazines are not cheap. I mean, they're every bit of, $50 most of the time. And if it only comes with one magazine, they're going to
wait, one magazine for the 365 is $50?
Every bit of 40, I would say.
Really?
I mean, close to that. Yeah,
wow.
Just because, that gun, I mean, the excuse SIG makes is, that gun was designed around its magazine and it's real short and holds 10 rounds and apparently it's more and they make 12 and 15 round options also, but apparently, they cost them a little more to make that magazine than some of their others.
Yeah. Is your store, Armament and Axe is putting up a website. Is your store eccguns.com?
That's correct. Yes,
okay.
It is.
All right, cool. So anyone who wants to go there. So does anyone else have any idea what's up with this SIG thing? Why there were all these SIGs getting discontinued? What's up with the production delay here? Any feedback on that?
Sorry to. One thing I will say that because my boss told me, we sell lots of SIG firearms, so we're very we got invited, we're pretty the company reaches out to us every now and then, and he just told me he was on the phone with one of the distributors and they're just they're super slammed on production and that with the magazines, I don't know if it's the place that's making their magazines, but they just have a shortage on them. And like every SIG we have in our store basically only comes with one magazine out of, in the box. You'll get they're also sending one good thing.
This is criminal.
SIG, it is criminal. One good thing though that I'll give SIG credit for is not only are they sending you the coupon, like this little verification code where they send you a magazine in their house, but they're also giving you a coupon for 25% off of their online store, like a purchase from their online store. So at least they're semi giving you something for the inconvenience.
Yeah. I'm not trying to knock them, but it seemed very
I'm not either.
Yeah, it seemed very obvious to me that something went down. And I was gonna look into it, and then I completely forgot. I got caught up in other things, and now you reminded me. But if someone out there, I guarantee you, someone out there, someone in this chat, has some kind of like, back channel information to let us know. I don't want to get you in trouble, Dylan, and then you get blocked off altogether from getting SIG.
Oh shit.
We don't want that. So it's all me. I'm just curious. It was I was looking at this site and every SIG was discontinued. And I was like, what's happening here? Why? I've never seen anything like that before. So.
They were on back order on us for over a month. Like they were harder to come by than Glocks, which is really hard to believe because Glocks, flew out.
Yeah.
Flew off the shelf.
Rick says, I got 3 mags when I got my 365. Yeah, that's the same thing. We got like 3 mags when we got a 365.
Well, I was going to say, they have this, we did get a couple of the, I think they're called like the TAC Pack or something, 365s, where it comes with the SIG holster and 3 magazines, but we only got a limited number of those. And from what I understand, those were made before all this madness happened with the magazine. So that's why we did get some of those, and they sold that day. And now all the ones we have 1 magazine out of the box.
Okay. Yeah. Yo Adam says not all the dealers get the full kits.
Right.
And Hootie Who says SIGs are not for the pores like me. There's something going on there. I'm not trying to make a whole thing into it, but I think I wish companies would be a little bit more transparent with this stuff and just tell us what's up.
If you don't mind me talking about this today, actually, I had a customer looking at the 320 X5 Legion, which is a really nice higher end 320 with the flared mag well and the flat blade trigger. You guys know about it, and he was looking at that and he really liked it. But, part of it being a Legion is you get the extra magazines, you get the upgraded sights, and it's it kind of, if you want, if you add up all the cost, it's really not, too bad of a deal. But then he looked at that, and when I told him, when he saw that it only came with 1 magazine, it just completely turned him off from buying it. And I don't blame him particularly because, if this is like a firearm you depend on for self-defense and you can only have access to 1 magazine, that's just not very good.
There's something else to this story here, man, because I would think that SIG would be better off putting out a third less guns and putting 2 extra magazines in there, or a half less guns and putting 2 magazines or something up in there. Come on now.
They got too many, way too many special editions. SIG.
Yeah, they do. They do.
So I think it just takes out their. How can you run a factory when I'm sure they've got the core frames and everything coming down the line and slides, and then all of a sudden they got to go 100 different directions because they got different Cerakote, different editions and all this crap on it.
Yeah.
So I think they need to simplify everything, and they can probably keep up with demand.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would just say this, specifically because they sponsored the podcast. Walther has all the guns you guys need.
Yep.
Yeah. You get tons of magazines with Walther guns. I don't know.
And I'll tell you, Hank, just to let you know, the CCP in 9mm and the new one in 380, those, the Walther guns, I don't know why. I told you this before last time I was on. They just don't sell quite as well as Glocks or Smith & Wesson or SIG because they just don't have as good of a brand recognition from a name standpoint. But I'll tell you, that CCP 380, I recommend that gun all day long to a lot of beginners, women shooters, and just people that are new. And that is a really that's became a decent seller for us. So I think they've done a really good job with that gun.
I agree with that. I didn't even Walther didn't even send me one of those. A friend of mine had one, and he was like, "You have to do a video on this gun." And I was like, "Okay," and I did the video. I was like, "Oh, this is actually pretty cool." So I think the 380 EZ, right?
Yeah, well, the CCP 380, I think it's a better gun than the EZ Shield 380. That's what I think.
No, it wasn't.
We sell more EZs.
Yeah. But, yeah. I think I think one of the problems that SIG has is a marketing issue and it's not that there's.
You mean Walther?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Walther.
Walther.
Yeah, it's not that Walther isn't marketing. It's that you're going up against this. How much marketing has Glock been doing?
Yeah, SIG spends over $20 million on marketing.
Yeah, Glock and SIG. It's the SIG P320 is that second to the Is that second to the G43, or did that overtake the G43 in sales? I'm not sure.
I think that the 320 might be a little bit below it. Don't quote me on that, but I think like the SIG or the 365. You mean?
Yeah, the 365. Yeah, sorry.
The SIG 365. I can tell you from our store is our second or third best-selling gun in the whole store, and the only gun above it is really the Taurus G2C, just because of the price. Okay. We sell a lot of the G2Cs. We sell a lot of the Easy Shields, for newer people.
Okay.
We sell a ton of the SIG 365s, like the XL series, the NRA edition ones. We sell the SAS model 365, with the Mepro Light style sight. The 365 has just continued to dominate every other concealed carry gun, in my opinion.
So they're kicking Glock's butt right now, then.
They are, because I think the 43X is a really good gun, but I just don't think, when you compare it to the 365 is just still quite a bit smaller.
Yeah.
Than.
Yeah. Let me just throw this in here because this is interesting what Hootie Who said. He says he's telling someone else this, but I'm going to put it, I don't know if he wants me to. He might not want me to. But he says, I put $20,000 of guns on credit cards last year just to make videos. Sold my house and cars to pay it off. Not kidding. I believe that.
Damn.
I believe that. Last year, Lola and I spent $30,000 to do all this stuff. So I know that you're not doing this stuff, Dylan. Ro, I think that you guys are just starting, right? So you might be buying guns, but you're not adding that extra expense of doing YouTube videos and having to burn through ammo.
Yeah, for us, it's more advocacy right now. Obviously, if we ever had the chance to shoot more and do that kind of stuff, we'd love it. But it's more getting the word out and teaching people.
Yeah.
And getting them into it.
Yeah.
Then we send them to watch your videos, and then they get excited, and then they want to buy more guns too.
Oh well, I appreciate it. I mean, it's tough. It's expensive to do this. Richard, you know that. Some of your guns that you have are specialized guns. They use special ammo. That makes it super expensive.
Yeah. That and just when I test fire the sub guns, I got to put I put 3 magazines, so that's almost 100 rounds through each gun. It adds up quick.
Yeah. So it is. Yeah, ammo's expensive. Doing this whole thing is an expensive thing.
Yeah.
Well, especially with the YouTube situation.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is the reason why. I know sometimes people get mad about it. And it's kind of weird, right? Because I feel, and you guys could tell me what you think from your point of view, because I'm coming from the point of view of being a YouTuber. I feel like a lot of the audience thinks it's sacrosanct for us to make any kind of money. They believe that guys like me that are putting so much money into something, so much time and energy and effort into doing this, that we should be broke. We should not have anything to do this, and it's almost I feel like almost we have to be like monks or something in order to do this. And you're just not what are you even talking about? You want to make money. What do you guys think?
I think the fact of the matter is that most people, this is kind of like a cynical viewpoint. Most people never get to really do what they want to do in their lives or get to make money off of things that they're passionate about. So that when certain people do it, they don't realize, first of all, even if you're passionate about something, that doesn't mean there's a reason the phrase "a work of love" comes from. So you can love something, but it still takes a lot of work, which is what you're talking about. Yeah. So people think it's easy to go out there and just say, I'm going to do some mag dumps in empty land somewhere, and then I'm going to edit a video and it's going to look great. But editing video, I see this because I was really lucky to be exposed to what you guys go through the past few months, being around guys like Argo J, KD, I even got to meet Coleon a couple of times. And Joe and I were filming for Argo J and SHOT Show. That's how we got invited up there.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And so obviously we got to see the behind the scenes, of what he was doing and just how much we filmed, the amount of content, seeing you and Lola obviously running around all of SHOT Show with your cameras and gears. People don't understand that you don't, obviously Joe and I were overwhelmed being noobs going to SHOT Show for the first time. It's a big deal for us, but even helping Jay out, I was like, man, it's so overwhelming. You couldn't even absorb everything that you're filming or going over at that time. Mm-hmm. Then you have to spend hours upon hours editing everything afterwards. Then you start building an audience. Like, the chat is great. You know, I love participating in the chat, and you want to go through that. That's another few hours that you spend answering comments, replying to emails. So next thing you know, even if you're doing like 1 or 2 videos a week, that's like a 40-hour job sometimes. And if you're doing even more than that, it's like overtime. And it's all on you. It's not like, oh, hey, you worked overtime, Hank, we're going to give you 50% more on your paycheck. No, it may not translate that way. In views and things like that. So
it doesn't translate that way for us because we're gun people, right? So if any of us, I mean, it's not easy. If you're a person doing makeup right now, and because you know the makeup people might be the biggest people, and you think, oh, I'm cute, I could do makeup, and then you start getting into this trying to make makeup videos on YouTube, you're gonna suffer. It's gonna be tough. Anything in life worth it is a tough thing. But I think it's made even more difficult when constantly, like, I put so much effort and energy into making a video and I put it up on YouTube, and they do 2 things. Not only do they demonetize it, but I'm approaching 100,000 subscribers right now, and I put up a video. Sometimes I put up videos, it gets a couple hundred views. I'm not trying to act like I'm some kind of
and I do not always get I very rarely get notifications when you put new videos up, and I'm signed up to where it's supposed to go to my email and everything.
And it's a major problem. Go ahead, Rich. Can you hear me, Rich? Nope. As soon as Rich put his hand there, he messed up. You can't touch that part of the screen, Rich. You're freezing it. What were you saying?
You know, it's funny because I come from the old school in the gun world, and I cannot figure out all this nonsense about YouTube and, oh, you can't make money, and what a bunch of damn pussies. You know, you're in it for the damn money, period. I'm a gunsmith. I want to make money. You don't like it, screw you. Go somewhere else. You know, and I come from, the 70s and 80s. The damn gun writers are a bunch of damn crooks. If you wanted a good review, you put an ad in the magazine. And it wasn't one ad, it was a year's worth of ads. So that right there was anywhere from $10,000 to $100,000 to the magazine. Then you gave the writer a gun, and he kept it. That's how you got a good review.
But he also got paid for the article. Which, but all of those things should happen maybe they should expose to people exactly what they're doing with the advertising and everything, but people should be able to make money to pay their bills and have the things that they want. Like, I think you believe in socialism if you think people shouldn't make any money, at all. Well, that's probably communism, and socialism is if you think we should just make enough money to just pay my bills. You should have nice things if you want them.
And Hank, the thing with me, like I'll tell everybody, like one of the reasons, I support you and a couple of other channels is, I support you guys because you all are doing things that I can't do. You have a voice that, you give people like me a voice that I just don't have. Like people like me out there just don't. I'm not represented in the world in very large numbers. And
I feel you.
And the way that I look at that, Hank, too, is man, like I look at you too, and just from a thing, it's like I don't understand how now where I think people have issues with the whole money thing is we've seen some influencers turn into paid shills where they're doing things for the wrong reason. And I think, obviously some people like that, you really question where their motives are. But like the way I look at it, like with someone with you, Hank, like I don't see how anyone cannot watch your videos and not tell that you're genuine and that you really say what you believe. So it's just one of those things too. And it's like from another thing too, it's like obviously you talk about the expenses and stuff. YouTube's not paying you very much. So, I mean, you have to have your support somewhere. And otherwise, like YouTube, their whole intention of demonetizing is they just wanted the gun channels to shut down, so that way they didn't have to throw them off. So, it's up to us to support the gun channels, or it's that's what will happen.
Yeah. Well, I think another thing that consumers don't get is that, like, back in the day of normal cable TV, you pay like $50-$100 a month, and whatever they give you is what you get. Maybe there's one or two channels there that you like, and the rest are garbage that you never use. Nowadays, people can actually get content that is so unique they didn't even know that they wanted that content before. So if people don't see an inherent value in that, it's kind of it's kind of BS sometimes. It's like, come on, man. Like, you're literally getting better content than ever in subgroups. Like, it used to be like, maybe you're lucky you watch the History Channel and they'll have like Tales of the Gun or something. You're like, oh man, a gun show on TV, this is great. But now it's like, literally you can find any lifestyle you want, any hobby you want, and you get world-class content basically more than ever, and people kind of take it for granted in a way, I think.
Yeah, and I don't think it's just the gun guys, by the way.
No, it's everything. Yeah, it's cars, makeup, everything.
Yeah, they're going after a lot of things. It's almost like they want to pick the winners, or they have maybe relationships. Like, I see a lot of a lot of the celebrities now are jumping into this when before they used to look down on this, but they're jumping in. But now, because they're jumping in, they have more cachet than that guy who's out there and genuine and connecting with his audience and doing stuff. I think, like Dylan was trying to say, I appreciate that he supports me, he supports Mac, and I know other guys. That's how I met him, and that should be like a give and take kind of relationship, if we don't have all these outside influences, but they own the game, and now they're trying to control the game for certain people's benefit. And I don't think it's just me, because if you look, I was looking this up actually, 2019, the top 10 YouTubers, YouTubers in general, made $150 million combined. This is from Forbes.
Yeah.
I was looking that up on Forbes. So there is money in it, and there is money going to certain people, but now they almost want to, it's like what happened with the music industry or the movie industry. It was this thing that they were experimenting with, and it was growing wild out of control. Now they want to bring it into control and make deals with people that they're like, okay, this is okay, this is not okay. And it's so tough, because where else do we go to? How do we create something separate, right? If we're not wanted. I know everyone says, oh, well, go and do your own thing. Not easy.
No. I know some of the like independent journalists that I listen to on YouTube. Tim Pool, he's been on Joe Rogan. He's a big one that knows a lot of the behind the scenes stuff that the social media companies are doing. He said, at least in the news space, in the journalistic space, like ABC, NBC, Fox, CNN, and MSNBC really have seen that independent journalism has come back on YouTube and different platforms like that, and it's a threat to their model, because they're in it to make money. So now you have, obviously, we see that mainstream media is lying to us, so they're losing credibility. Independent journalists now on YouTube or Twitter and things like that, they're telling the real stories, and they're actually on the ground. That's a threat to their money now. So I think it's also large companies going into certain industries, and they're saying, we'll pay you even more to basically undermine your own content that made you what you are now. We'll basically pay you to get rid of that.
Yeah,
and,
I agree
and that's
with that.
what you're seeing.
Yeah. I think it's like, and I'm going to get him in trouble for this, but Babyface was giving me this analogy before we went online. He said, it's like porn, okay? And if you remember a long time ago, Dylan, when you were a little baby, there was that kind of stuff was very glossy, right? It was very glossy and shiny and a lot of makeup, so nowadays we don't want that, because we see that's not real. Well, that's how people are seeing CNN and MSNBC, and for that matter, Fox.
Yeah.
And so they want the real guys, because they're like, oh no, that guy is real. He doesn't have some kind of agenda he's trying to shove down my throat. That's a real person, and I want to connect to that, and that's what makes it super dangerous for them. Because those of us who are real human beings living out here, You know, we see it, we connect to people, and we can move those people. You know, versus like when you have what's the name of this guy? Is it Chris Como or whatever, the guy that works on CNN, who's telling everyone you gotta shelter in place with this COVID. Basically, he has COVID. He's telling
Frito.
He's telling everyone he's in the basement. Meanwhile, he's fighting with a guy at his house that's under construction because he's out in public. And I'm not mad at him for being out in public. I'm mad that it's a game and he's fake.
Yep.
You know, and we all know it. Not just us because we're gun guys. Everybody in America knows that that's fake.
Yep.
Yep.
You know, we got away. How do we keep getting away from guns?
I think it's because guns have to do with freedom, and we're just in a time now where our freedom is under threat more than ever. So it just kind of evolves into that.
Yeah.
And I'll say too, Hank, straight up too, like I absolutely love talking about guns, but it's also, you know, I enjoy talking about life with you all because, you know, I look at all of us as, you know, we're all the same people, and I enjoy hearing your all's experience things because, you know, I haven't been around very long, and I definitely appreciate the advice you all give me.
Yeah, I think we appreciate you too, man. It gives me a little bit of faith to know that there's young people like you out there. It's not all doomed.
It's pretty doomed.
Well, with this is why we got to get you. We got to get you hitched up and making clones. Finish school, get your degree, build a career, put some money aside. I'm not trying to rush the situation there, you know, but. Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, there are other people. I think that's why that's why people are connecting with us, because they know that. I think all over America there's people connecting. If you guys see, like I was looking at Joe Rogan, for example, and those people in California are pissed, like those comedian guys, they're pissed off now because they can't do shows and they are losing a lot of money. And they're going broke because they can't do shows, people can't perform. Folks can't get out there, right? And so now they're getting mad, and it's like, hey, do you guys realize that you put these idiots in charge? You know, and if you get mad enough, realize that you put these guys in charge, and this is what they did.
And if you let me say one example of this, in March when the COVID stuff, like when the rush on firearms was, you know, like there's still a good demand for firearms right now, but you know, it has toned down a little bit from March. We had a ton of I don't even want to say liberal or Democrat, but a ton of just anti-freedom people that, what do you mean I have to have a form of ID with my correct address on it? Blah, 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 blah. I want to what do you mean I got delayed and I got to wait 3 business days to be able to pick up my firearm? And I want to look right at them. You know, I got to stay professional because it's not my store. But I want to look right at them and say, you voted those assholes in. Suck on that.
So true, man.
That's
so
what
true.
I want to say. I'm being serious.
Yeah. This is why. Yeah, I'm telling you, you're an old soul, man.
Well, I mean, but they wait until it affects them to want to make a difference, and that's when it's too late.
Human beings. This is the nonsense
that's when they move. Yeah, that's when they move to a free state and then turn it into the communist state.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Rogan was saying he wants to go to Texas.
Yeah.
You know, it's like Musk wants to go to Texas. Go ahead.
It's up to us in the free states to teach them when they move in. That's what we have to do. A lot of people grumble and they're like, "Oh, these people are moving in here, messing everything up." Or are you going to go out there and talk to them and tell them, "Hey, you know, you gotta." It's not. I hate to use the term reach across the aisle, but it's you gotta stick out a hand out and say, look, this is what makes this place awesome. Why'd you leave where you came from? Well, you know, the laws there are becoming unbearable. The taxes are too high. Well, these are the people that cause that. Don't vote for those types of people here, and you might see some freedom here. Yeah,
suffering either teaches you or destroys you.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is why us as human beings, there is a problem with us, you know, and so we need to suffer to either learn or be destroyed by that. You know, the problem is when you look at it as a whole country, you can pull the whole country down with that nonsense, including the good people who are working hard and want to make things better. You know, that's the risk we're always running. So Listen, we are approaching 9:00. On this historic podcast where like the whole YouTube died for how long was that? Was that
half
like
an hour or something?
Yeah. Was it 15, 20 minutes or something like that?
Something like that.
Yeah. You'll always remember where you were when the coronavirus hit and the YouTube died. And all this craziness happened all in one. But before all the folks start getting out of here, I do want to remind everyone, like, smash the thumbs ups right now. We still have a lot of people in here. We appreciate that. But I want to go around here and give people a chance to tell you who they are so you can catch up with them. I'm going to start with you, Rich. Tell the folks how can they support you? Where can they find you, communicate with you?
They can go to my website if they want to support me. Mm-hmm. And it's bwefirearms.com and buy lots of Uzi parts and MK17 and send your damn Uzis and MK760s in for me to fix them.
Nice.
That's the best way to support me. Mm-hmm. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. It's all a variation of BWE Firearms, whatever they made me put in to get it to work.
Yeah.
But if you just search for BWE Firearms, I come up.
Yeah. Let me put it this way. If Military Arms Channel goes to him to get his gun fixed, so should you, except if he doesn't fix that gun, we don't know him.
No pressure.
Mac and I already had this conversation.
Oh man,
we disavow any knowledge.
Feast or famine.
Yeah, if he doesn't get it fixed. So Rolando, tell us, how can the folks get in touch with you? How can they support you guys? Man, you've been a great guest. We gotta get you back on here again.
Oh yeah, definitely. I would love it. And I know my wife had a great time too.
Yeah.
You can find
we
me.
We would rather have her back on, but yes,
Hey,
you're a close second. You're a close second.
I'd rather watch her on the screen too, but then I'd miss her in person.
Yeah.
You can find me on IG. That's really where we're active right now, at Puerto Rican Pistolero. And for Joe and I, she's Latina Locked and Loaded, but we have a page together that's Locked and Loaded Latinos as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
okay,
I put that in the chat for anybody that's interested.
Yes, awesome. Please, guys, do go out there and support. Now, I know, Dylan, you haven't gotten your act together and created any social media yet. So what could the folks do? They could at least go to the store, right? Tell them about the store.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, I will be on the gram in a couple of months. That is.
A couple of months. Yeah, if we make it to, if the apocalypse doesn't end the planet.
Yeah, it might be too late. I've really been bad on that. But anyways, please, if you guys are on Facebook, please go to Everything Concealed Carry. In Louisville, Kentucky. We actually have two stores, but the one I work at is in Louisville, Kentucky. That's by far our bigger store. And we post a lot of deals on there, so please like us on Facebook. And then please call the store if you need anything at 502-657-8488. And even, like I said, I'm happy to say, if you just want to say hi, I'm always there on Mondays and Thursdays. I'm going to be working some Saturdays pretty soon. But I'm in there as much as I can be.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
And Hank, thank you again for having me on.
No, you're welcome, man. Thank you for the support. Thanks to everyone who supports us. I mean, I don't want to make it seem like I've got the worst thing in the world. I think that I do live a pretty good life to be an American, to live here in Florida, and to enjoy the freedoms that I do, to have like all of you guys as my friends and things like that, and to be able to be in this community. We just got to figure out how to make this better, not just for me, for you, for like everyone. We've got to figure out how to make this a better thing, how to fix what's going on here, instead of just like talking about it. So here's what I'm going to do. I want to thank Walther for sponsoring the podcast here. I'm going to drop the end right now. Everyone sit tight. I'm going to drop the end just so we can be official. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel here. Leave your comments, ring the bell so you can be notified every time we go live. Of course, you need to go to hankstrange.com, get up on the email list. This is how you'll find out all things about us no matter what happens and where we go to, and how you can actually like support us and help us keep doing this. Thanks so much to everyone. Thanks, Dylan. Thanks, Rich. Thanks, Rolando. Really appreciate you coming on, man. Yeah, you guys are great.
Thank you. Thank you, Hank.
Yeah, absolutely. Please help these guys grow and encourage Dylan to get on social media. So
it's coming, guys. I'm just lazy.
Yeah.
I know.
It's real easy.
Look,
do you have a phone? Do you have a smartphone?
Yeah.
If I can do it.
Yeah.
I know.
Hey, I was
I'm
off
out of
Facebook for years and I joined IG, so
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we could get you at least 20 friends immediately.
Yep.
Immediately. When you start on there. Okay, listen, we're encouraging him. But thanks to everyone out there. Do you have any last words? Anyone have any last words before we get out of here?
I'll say something.
Okay. Go ahead, Dill.
Hank, one thing that I just want to say to everyone who's watching, if you guys can't afford it, I know that money's tight right now, but please support Hank and all your gun channels on YouTube because, like I said, without our support, the channels cannot go on. It's very,
Absolutely.
It's that simple.
Yeah, thanks. I think it was on. Like, I know this is terrible that I forgot this, but I believe that Honest Outlaw lost his whole channel, right?
I did see that.
Yeah. So let's.
That briefly.
Yeah, let's. I mean, we got into a bunch of things here, but let's keep our eyes on that. Help that guy out. Go support him on the backup things that he has and all of that. This is happening, and it's going to continue to happen. So it really sucks. And as Dylan said, we do really need to support people out there. Maybe we'll get into this a little bit more tomorrow. Thanks so much, guys. We're out of here. We'll see you tomorrow. Peace.
Peace.